I absolutely love having the Akhand Diya, and it has palpable effect because I miss it. I start missing it when it's not there. It's not there because I'm traveling a lot. So one of the reasons I've tried a lot of different oils is because I'm also traveling a lot, and then I take my lamp with me. I was in Uttarkashi for a month. I put the lamp over there. Then I put mustard oil because it was easily available. Then I'm traveling in South India, gingerly is easier. When I'm in Gujarat, then I go in the market, I'm seeing so many different variations. And ghee also, because when I'm with Jay and stuff, I understand they only use ghee, so I want to use ghee for that. Namaste everyone. So I wanted to do a video on my Akhand Diya, which is this one here. But making one video would have required a lot of planning and stuff, so I've decided to do like smaller videos with specific aspects of the Akhand Diya. I feel it will also be a lot more specific and useful for people if they are looking to do a Akhand Diya in their house, which you all should totally should do. Typically, so I also checked with a few of the other people in my spiritual circle who do maybe not Akhand Diya, but they rigorously do diyas. We use a filtered oil, basically any vegetable filtered oil, because ideally you would want to use cold pressed oil, but it would be a lot more expensive. And especially when you consider an Akhand Diya, one of the key questions is how much of oil does one use. It's not that much, it's actually 3 liters. More or less. I think that's a good ballpark amount of oil to keep in mind. So if it's 3 liters, if we use cold pressed oil, depending on if we go for sesame or something which is a bit expensive, then it becomes as much as 600 per liter of sesame cold pressed oil. So it becomes roughly like 1800 rupees. So it's everyone's choice. I use filtered vegetable oil, and I have no qualms. In fact, I have used all kinds of oil. It was almost something I wanted to do. I wanted to use different kinds of oils. So I've used everything. I've even at times used refined sunflower oil, mustard oil, sesame oil, groundnut oil, rice bran oil, cotton seed oil, which you should not use. Do not use cotton seed oil. It's very common in Gujarat actually. They call it moongfali tel, and what it does is, I don't know, if it burns in the lamp, it leaves these strands of cotton or something. It is so bizarre. And what happened is the rim of the lamp, it actually got this residue sticking around it, and I could not even remove it after so much of brushing. If you search online, you will find a lot of articles which basically attribute certain properties with the oils that are used. So definitely you can refer to any such thing. It's just I don't like referring because I don't have that one point source. Like Sadhguru, I would refer to Robert Svoboda and all of these other people which I kind of consider as genuine. I don't want to randomly search on Google and look at those random blog posts which are very often written because of SEO and the search result ranking and all that stuff. So I don't know from where that authority has come in. Definitely somebody has to be a yogi of some kind to really understand the implications of the oils. So yeah, I use any oil, and I have seen the benefits. Like there's obviously a reason I have maintained Akhand Diya, and I absolutely love it, and I have not seen a massive difference with the kind of oil. Maybe if I was to really study it, and maybe over time if I become more receptive, I'll actually notice a difference. It's interesting now that I've started shooting this video. I'm thinking I should study it a little bit. Generally, so if I refer to Sadhguru's talks…
One more thing if you want to do, you just light an organic oil lamp, a cotton wick, some oil, anything. What do you use here? Normal cooking oil. Linseed oil, rice bran oil or sesame oil, what do you have? Olive oil, fine. Any organic oil with a cotton wick, just burn one little lamp somewhere in the room where you sleep. You will see.
Now the biggest problem with those typical diya oils that I get outside is that it has fragrance, which I do not want at all, because you don't need fragrance, and especially nowadays that fragrance is largely a lot of chemical. So definitely don't go for it. I would suggest going with a pure oil which is just oil, so that when the oil lamp burns, you get the benefits of the diffusion that takes place of the oil. With the chemical fragrance and all that mixed stuff, I don't know what is the impact. So I just do not like the fragrance oil at all. So I do not use it at all. I go with any other vegetable oil. The other thing that happens is there is something about the oils in the market. I don't want to make allegations of tampered oils and all, but all oils are not the same. Especially now, because what I started doing is, because the Akhand Diya is always there, right? So I just order that 5-liter can of oil, and what I do is I transfer it in like some plastic bottle, which is a big mouth plastic bottle like this. Because it has a big mouth, it's easier to just pour it straight from the can into that bottle. So these bottles are obviously very handy, right? So every time I need to refill, I just pour the oil. But the recent 5-liter oil that I'm using, the lamp does not stay Akhand in it. It keeps going out. It is completely unnatural, because I've had this Akhand lamp for more than a year now. So there is, I know how it works. When the oil is full and it's reasonably clean, there is no reason for it to go off. And maybe once it will go off for some other reason, or twice it will go off, but it will not repeatedly go off. So there was something wrong with this oil. So what I started doing was, I got this other oil, which is groundnut oil right now. I got this other oil and I'm mixing it, and now it's working. Now it is Akhand. These things also happen. We do have to be a bit careful, but in general, you can, most of the oils are okay. Some. Now the thing is, how much of oil, which I mentioned, roughly 3 liters of oil. It depends a lot on the wick, the size of the flame, and how much of oil it consumes. And the size of the flame depends on the wick, the size of the wick. So you have to experiment a little bit with the wick. You can make the thicker wicks, thinner wicks. I do want to use ghee at some point of time, because in Jains especially, we do not use vegetable oil at all. We only use ghee. It probably also makes sense that Jain is that prosperous community, because you need to be able to afford ghee if you're keeping it. There are two things about ghee. One is that what happens with the ghee is that, see, there's a lot of heat near the flame, but right below, or if it's flat and large, then on the sides, it tends to freeze up and then it does not flow properly, in which case the lamp will go off. So a very simple thing that certain temples I've seen is that they use floating candles like this. These are the floating candles. If you go to Amazon, it is known as Parsi Batti or something, or just say cork wick or something like that. It's made of cork. These are really cool because they you have a bit of oil and they will just float on it. You don't have to create the full wick. So this can't be the Akhand wick, of course, because it's very limited. But when the ghee freezes on the sides of the lamp, you can put these small things on the sides, 2-3 of these, so that ghee remains warm and in the liquid state, so that it's flowing into the wick, the main wick, so that the main wick doesn't have a scarcity issue from the fuel, so it keeps burning. This was the idea that the Jain temple gave me, because they had this huge shallow vessel with large one, which was an Akhand Diya. This is in Palitana, if any Jains are listening. The Palitana Bamboo Derasar, which is one of the first ones which we'll go, has that in the main shrine, it has a huge Akhand Diya. It is Akhand. And I asked the pujaris and they said it was made of ghee. And they mentioned that those ghee tends to freeze up, especially in winter. So you need to keep these small floating candles all around. And for them it's very important, because Jains don't use vegetable oil for lamps. So they only use ghee. So they have to have a solution for the freezing part. And the second thing about ghee is, I think ghee is, even Ayurveda, for consumption of ghee is considered extremely beneficial. And from that sense, a ghee lamp would be extremely beneficial, because you are also consuming that ghee in a different form. So I definitely think there is value to a ghee lamp. I plan to have it at some point. I have not yet, but I plan to. At some point I'm planning to, once the vegetable oil comes back and comes down and I need to refill, I'll just put ghee into it. I just need to figure which ghee and all, because again, if we go for like a lower quality of ghee in the market, it could be just vegetable oil, named as ghee. So we need to look at it. And according to the Vedas and all, they are saying the very pure ghee, desi ghee and all, but it's just not the cost issue. It's also the fact that nowadays we are not getting that much of that pure Vedic kind of ghee because the cows are treated badly. So it is very tricky stuff, so even from that perspective, it's not like I'm going vegan or anything, because I think I have found milk and ghee to be very important in my diet. But I don't want to needlessly use it. So lamp, I could just go with a jingly oil at best. One more other oil that gets mentioned is coconut oil, but coconut oil also has a similar problem like ghee, or that it freezes. So it is a little difficult. I mean, okay, if the climate is very warm, then you can use coconut oil possibly. I'm not sure, because every time I have tried to use coconut oil, it doesn't work. I think it is because in some way it is still freezing on the bottom or something, and it isn't flowing as easily as it needs to into the wick to keep it on. And especially in winter, it's just not possible. I mean, it just freezes completely. So you would have to, even to pour it from the bottle into this, I do not know how you'll do it. You'll have to go through the elaborate procedure of putting it in a warm water container so that it melts inside the bottle, then pouring it, and then keeping these little floating wicks inside to keep it. So I do not suggest going for coconut oil. I think in general sesame oil is great. So yeah, that's with the oil. If you are thinking, you should consider at least keeping an Akhand Diya for some time. Just for I think a lot of people do for 9 days of Navratri, or just like month of Shravan or a month of Kartik or whatever. You just keep the lamp for a while, see how it goes. I think it would be really amazing.